Anyways, let's talk with Steve in Maine. Hi, Steve.
Hello, Dr. White.
Hello.
I am having a discussion in a seminary class on Luke regarding the cost of discipleship in chapter 14, and I was just asked the question that how would we approach somebody who claims to be justified but is showing no evidence of sanctification? And I'm trying to answer this to Arminians, largely. The person who asked the question is a Calvinist, so he'll be okay with my answer. But what I've seen, or what I'm thinking here, is that their theology, doesn't it say that because we have provided the decisive impulse for justification, isn't the corollary of that we would provide the decisive impulses for sanctification and be making ourselves holy?
Well, that assumes, unfortunately, that our Arminian friends are consistent in their theology, and thankfully, for most of them, they're not. Arminianism, taken to its logical conclusion, becomes a form of legalistic Pelagianism, and so I'm very, very thankful that most of the Arminians I know do not take it all the way to its conclusion.
Dr. White's statement here is absolutely untrue. I would expect more out of Dr. White as one who has devoted significant time to understanding issues related to soteriology. In true Arminianism, because man is dead in sin and separated from God, he cannot, in any form or fashion, seek of his own accord to be reconciled to God. Unlike Pelagianism, where man can take the first step toward God, in Arminianism, it is God who must first initiate this relationship through his prevenient grace, grace which precedes and comes before any act toward God that man may indeed have. So Dr. White is wrong to say what he did. But let's consider Dr. White's Calvinism if it is reasoned out to its logical conclusion. Taken to its logical conclusion, Calvinism severely limits and undermines God's universal love for mankind. God does not love the non-elect, no matter how Calvinists try to spin it. For how could he, if he is the one who absolutely and actively determines their sin and rebellion, and then condemns and punishes them for the sin and rebellion that they perform and act out? Furthermore, what good are the so-called common graces of food, clothing, shelter, and the joys of family if the one thing needed for eternal life and the preservation of one's own soul, which is a relationship with Jesus Christ, is intentionally kept back and withheld by God? For what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world in the form of common graces, yet loses his own soul because God chose not to love him with electing love? Taken to its logical conclusion, the God that Calvinists espouse is directly behind and responsible for every sinful act that man has ever performed. Every rape, every murder, every genocide, every war, every act of human trafficking, every act of pride, every lie, every deceit, every religious heresy happens. All these things happen because God has directly caused them to happen. God has directly implanted the motives, desires, and feelings inside of a person to ensure that they will indeed happen. That's what it means to foreordain whatsoever comes to pass, as the Westminster Confession states. Taken to its logical conclusion, in Calvinism, prayer is stripped of its power and efficacy. Prayer is a totally futile exercise and really rather pointless, for our desires cannot change anything that God has eternally decreed. For everything that's going to happen is already predetermined. What point is there in praying against God's predetermined, unchangeable will? When it comes to salvation, what is the point in praying for someone to be saved for whom Christ did not shed his blood? And if one is among the elect, then what is the point in praying for their salvation when it is God who will ultimately overcome them through his alleged irresistible grace, whether we pray or not? Far from Arminianism having problems if taken to its logical conclusion, Calvinism's problems are much more demonstrable and obvious. If one's theology has serious defects if taken to its logical conclusion, should that theology then be adopted?